We're here with John Cash, the Senior Manager, Enterprise Accounts, U.S. Sales and IT Channels. If you're not aware, BlackBerry has been getting a lot of publicity lately and a lot of favorable reviews, quite frankly, for the new 10 mobile device that's out. I have one. I've been testing it the only way one should in conjunction with my 14-year-old son. So that's the true test. And I can attest to its durability. He's taken it up on the ski slopes. He's got it at school during the day. We get together and compare notes on the weekend, etc. And there'll be a review in SMB Nation magazine coming out shortly on that, along with a video interview of my son. And again, he's always been my test lab on these projects. He did the Blackberry tablet last year. BlackBerry's been exceedingly generous to the SMB Nation event with sponsoring tonight's SMB 150 dinner, where the SMB 150 awardees will receive a BlackBerry 10 device. And that's the second year in a row that they've participated in our annual contest, along with the SMBTN Trade Association. So with that said, why don't we get going? Mr. Johnny Cash.
Why don't we? Harry, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You bet. And by the way, with the online audience, a couple hundred people online,
great.
we have to mic up. When people have a question, I'll take the mic over to them so they can hear it, just so you know.
That sounds great.
All right.
That sounds great. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you once again. So to get started, why don't I just show you a little bit of a film here that shows you a little bit about what's going on at BlackBerry today. So let me get it set up for you here.
Imagine technology so safe, it's trusted to perform life-saving surgery. So sophisticated, it can send images from space. So reliable, it keeps air traffic control working, power plants operating, and Hollywood cameras rolling. Software so fast, it keeps high-speed trains running. And so advanced, it's in the world's most innovative cars. Now imagine all of that in the palm of your hand. BlackBerry. Keep moving.
All right, so that lets you know what's going on at BlackBerry today. We are all about keeping our business users moving and really keeping business moving. And I think it's interesting to note, everything I'm going to do today, I'm going to do from our BlackBerry Z10 smartphone here. So if you'll notice, it's plugged into the projection system. It's projecting over the web. Literally, I can walk into a meeting, and I do most often with my customers now with just this phone. And literally, whatever I'm doing to conduct my business, I do it here. So, I'll just open up with this thought. We're entering an era where this is really not about managing mobility for our customers. It really is about introducing them to the whole paradigm of mobile computing. And when we look at this, we come at this not just thinking about this from a smartphone and tablet perspective, but really, how can we create a platform that provides mobile computing really for the next era, if you will. So that's really what we're about, and we like to say it's all really about keeping your business moving. You guys are resellers, and you have customers, and they rely on you for kind of the advice and the solutions that are going to help keep them moving. So I think this is going to be of great interest to you here. So as Harry said, and as the slide says, my name is John Cash. Just a little bit about me as we get started. So I do manage a large territory of enterprise accounts for BlackBerry. So pretty much Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and everything west of that. I'm based in Texas, in the Dallas area, and I've been up here in Washington all week, actually, visiting some customers. Enjoyed it. You guys, thank you for bringing the great weather, or maybe I brought it from Texas, I'm not sure, but it's just been a beautiful week, and I've certainly enjoyed it. So of course, lots of folks always ask about my name, so we'll get that out of the way first. No, I don't sing very well, but I am actually a very distant relative of the Johnny Cash family, so I'll tell you more about that later. Anyway, So keeping your business moving, when you look at BlackBerry as an organization and really what we're all about, we're a very differentiated player in this space of enterprise mobility. We really are the leader in this space in terms of the install base within the Fortune 500 companies. Over 90% of Fortune 500 companies use BlackBerry as their core mobility platform to run their business. It's the platform that they truly rely on for their key personnel and executives to conduct business while they're mobile, and we're committed to that. Even as we enter this new era with a new platform and new solutions and really new ways of doing business and new ways of touching our customers, we're committed to remaining the gold standard for enterprise mobility. You're going to see a lot. You're going to see a lot of evidence of that. We're going to talk a lot about our BlackBerry 10 smartphone and the new platform. I'll show you what that's all about. You'll see some of the power that's built into the platform. But we're also about helping organizations really tackle the challenges that are first and top of mind with them. And certainly, as you engage with your customers, when you're talking with them about mobility today, I'm sure that one of the things that they're very concerned about is BYOD. In fact, that may be the norm for many small businesses. That essentially the organization doesn't procure mobile devices for them. Instead, an end user chooses the device, and the organization ultimately enables it. So we'll talk a lot about BES 10 or BlackBerry Enterprise Service 10 and how that really is built to help organizations tackle this problem. So just on that, just some key trends in enterprise mobility that we see today and are really responding to, and we'll talk a lot more about this. Ultimately, this enterprise mobility is being driven by a number of trends. Consumerization clearly is one of those trends. And by the way, it's really not just about mobility. It really is about computing in general. Lots of organizations today are seriously considering, not procuring laptops for their employees. I'm sure that could be the norm in many small and medium businesses today already. So clearly, consumerization is driving the market. As well as really this trend towards looking at smartphones really as more of a mobile computing platform. And that brings with it an expectation that really everything I do to facilitate my business, my communication and collaboration, is enabled on this smartphone device. So that really is what we see happening today in terms of consumerization and mobile computing really driving the market. And for IT decision makers and IT leaders and resellers in the IT space, ultimately you see customers trying to balance this mix of concerns here over on the right-hand side of this slide. Ultimately, they're trying to balance a personal user experience, so bringing the end user what they want, while at the same time allowing and enabling security, worker productivity, and extending the applications that business users actually need to use. And BlackBerry has really brought an interesting portfolio of solutions to the marketplace that really address some of these needs. Obviously, we've been known for device management. You could say that BlackBerry actually created the whole category of mobile device management with the original introduction of the BES server. I mean, before a BES, people really didn't think about managing mobile devices. Security has always been important to us. Extending a portfolio of applications that allows for unified communications in terms of connecting your smartphone to a PBX, connecting it to document collaboration solutions like Microsoft SharePoint, connecting it to enterprise presence and messaging solutions and voice solutions like Link as an example. So all of those are pieces of the BlackBerry portfolio today. And of course, applications. Applications are really what drives business productivity. We're going to talk a bit about some of the applications that are available for the BlackBerry 10 platform, and you'll see that we have a very robust set of application capabilities. So, by the way, as Harry mentioned earlier, I want this to be very interactive. So, if you guys have questions, feel free to throw up your hand. We'll get you the microphone, and away we'll go. So, don't be afraid. I've got a bit of content we want to get through here, but I definitely want it to be interactive for you guys as well as me. So let's kind of boil all that down a little bit to what it means to small to medium businesses. Ultimately, business leaders are driven by the need to succeed. And when you look at what BlackBerry is bringing to bear, we're bringing a platform that really helps them be more productive when they're mobile, helps them to get more done more quickly, and really with less overhead and infrastructure than ever before in BlackBerry's in the history of BlackBerry, and really in the history of mobile computing. So you'll see that when as we move through this. So I could show you these slides about the device, but I tend to think that it'd probably be better to show you a demo of what you can actually do on the device. So I'm gonna move out of slide mode here, but just in just a moment, and we'll start demoing some of the capabilities of this device. But just so that you know kind of the high points that we're going to touch on here, I'm going to talk a bit about BlackBerry Hub, which is really our new paradigm for how unified messaging happens on a mobile device. So you'll see the Hub. To say it's an email app would really, that's not an accurate description in the sense that it definitely is where you get your email, but it's where all of your communication flows to. We'll talk a bit about flow as well. That's our new concept for really how you move between applications and really how an end user interacts with their device. And it's contrasted with kind of the typical paradigm in mobile devices where it's more about moving in, from application to application, or moving, kind of going into one application, out of that, into another application. I'll walk you through a scenario where ultimately you'll see that our flow concept essentially creates a fluid movement from one work stream to another, touching the capabilities of multiple applications without ever having to leave the hub. So you'll see that. We'll talk a bit about peak as well. That's a concept where I can easily access the content that I'm looking for. I can peek into it without committing to actually going into the application. We'll touch on a bit about BBM with video and screen share, and we'll talk a lot about balance. So balance is a core concept in our device platform that really separates work from personal in a very seamless way. So with that really as an introduction, let's kind of get into it. So first and foremost, the thing I love about this device is no matter what application I'm in, I have a very simple, common set of gestures that I use to navigate the device. So I know you can't see this necessarily from up here, but if you can imagine if this were my big BlackBerry Z10, all I'm doing is simply swiping up from the bottom to do things. So like for example, when I want to put this application, which by the way, I'm, as I mentioned, from Flower Mound, Texas. It's a nice sunny 70-degree day there. When I want to put this application in the background, I simply swipe up from the bottom and boom, there it is. When I want to move from this application, let's bring it back up to the, to bring it to the foreground, I simply tap on it. When I want to move from this application into my hub and see what messages I have, I simply swipe up from the bottom. You'll notice initially I have a notification ribbon along the left-hand side that tells me where I have content, and if I had new content, I would actually have a kind of the splash symbol there above there that would highlight where I have new content. And to peek into that, I simply then continue that gesture over to the right, and now I'm actually exposing my hub and I can see what content I have. Now, if I had gotten a new message and I kind of looked here real quickly, I saw that it was just a message from a blog, I can simply go right back to the application that I came from. And that UI paradigm is common across the platform. So no matter what application, this happens to be my weather app, but it could be any application. I use that same common UI. Now once I'm in my hub, you'll notice once again, this is a combination of lots of different threads of communication. So it combines my work, email, my personal email, social networks like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc., all available in one common place. And by the way, I can filter on any one of them. So if at any point in time I just wanted to see my Twitter feeds, I can filter on those. If I just want to see my work email, I can filter on that. Or I can choose to see it in a combined view like this. So another example of peek would be when I'm in my message list. If I'm in my hub here, I simply pull down anywhere in the screen, and that then exposes a view into the calendar, right? So I see my next several upcoming appointments. I can access those directly from here. So if I didn't want to go into the calendar, I simply pull down and let go. And now I'm back to my messages. If I do want to go into the calendar, I pull down and I can go directly into this calendar. And there's a couple of interesting things here that I want to point out. So this is a calendar entry. You see it has all the standard stuff the time, the location. Notice here it says TBD. If it actually had a location in there, and it were like a fully recognized address as an example, I could click right there and it would go directly into my mapping application and map me to that location. Or I can choose to see what people are in here. So if you'll notice, and by the way, this is done for demo purposes here, but I've scheduled a chat with my boss, Brian Lee. If I wanted to go kind of see a little bit more about Brian Lee, I can kind of push in on his details. And now ultimately I'm looking at a calendar view, a contact view of Brian. I'm looking at Brian's contact information, and this contact information is dynamic in the sense that it not only contains static data like Brian's phone number, his email address, all the different ways that I know and connect with him, but it also is linked to his LinkedIn profile, and I see his full profile, public profile from LinkedIn. And in fact, if I weren't already linked in with Brian, what I would get instead here would be a button that would say, it would insert itself right here, and it would say connect with this contact. And I can automatically send him a connection right there. So I go through that scenario really to illustrate the point that with BlackBerry 10, I have moved from an application into the hub or the message list with a single swipe. From that message list, I can access the calendar. I can view contacts that are in meetings within calendar entries. I can that contact is actually linked in with LinkedIn data, if you will, so it's live and dynamic. And I could, in fact, connect and interact with people over that social network. That's accessing the capabilities of at least 4 different applications, maybe more, without ever leaving the hub. Because as I continue back, you'll notice I'm literally still in the same place that I started from. So if you were to examine the paradigm on how that similar type of scenario works on other device solutions, it's going from email into calendar, into contacts, into a social networking application to interact with people. The other thing that's really powerful about this is this has literally changed the way that I interact with people on social networks. So for example, I can message people over LinkedIn directly from my hub. I don't have to go to a separate application for LinkedIn. I can do the same with Facebook and Twitter. So I can tweet directly out of here, and I do, in fact. In addition to that, in our SDK, there are a set of APIs to where if you want your application to report directly into this hub, it can do that as well. So that's pretty powerful for a lot of organizations who are looking at workflow applications. I know that I was actually talking with one local reseller in Dallas recently, and he's looking to do a set of workflow applications for a hospital organization, and he's actively looking at sort of how he can leverage our SDK and this hub really as a methodology to drive workflow within a hospital scenario. So that's just some real-world scenario type stuff that is available. The other thing probably to focus in on with this device that's kind of new and really differentiating in the market is the way that our keyboard works. So I don't know how much you guys have seen in the press about kind of the touchscreen keyboard on BlackBerry 10, but it's fairly differentiated from other things that are available in that when I go into a message and I start typing, the keyboard itself starts suggesting what I'm typing, and I can automatically flick, and you won't necessarily be able to see this, but notice I type W, and it's now suggesting the word what. So on my phone, I'm just going to swipe, so with my finger, just swipe what up into the conversation. So I don't have to type the rest of the word. So what? Now,
What I found, if you don't mind, what I
Please.
found is it actually makes typically 4 suggestions, and it does it sort of in the 4 corners. So it'll have a word upper left, lower left, upper right, lower right, depending on the syntax and complexity of the word as it tries to resolve what it can do. So, and I know that probably isn't going to, the law of demos, that probably won't reveal itself.
well, so what it is actually doing is, and that in many cases may be coincidental with kind of the way that you communicate. So what it is doing is over time, it learns the phrases that you use. So for example, when I'm doing demos, I commonly use the phrase, what do you think of this, right? So notice, I've typed what. The next thing that the device thinks I'm trying to say is do. So I can literally swipe this up into the conversation. Do you think of this? Yeah. So literally.
Yeah, I guess the point is, and there people can see it, is that it uses additional portions of the screen real estate to display the suggested term. Instead of, say, on a single bar, it places it where you're not. I guess that's the point I was making.
Yep, exactly.
So this is also you are very right. I have been using this one since long. So when I write a letter and at the end when I write regards, after that when I just press the enter button, it's automatically says Abhijit. Then I press, I just swipe it. It takes Abhijit. Next it says that Chatterjee on the C character upper there, it says strategy. I just swipe it out, it takes strategy. So the more you use and the more phrases you actually type, it's automatically recall. I don't know how is there a cache on that particular and the storage or not, but it's actually taking all the information which I'm entering, and later on it give me the same thing.
Yep, absolutely. So he's telling the story for me, which is awesome, by the way. The more you use it, the more it learns how you communicate and what you say. Yes? Microphone. Somebody get him a microphone. Yep. No worries. Yeah.
Not bad.
Thanks. What if I have to write a message in more than one language? Is there an easy way to change the language?
So the great thing about that is, and thank you for pointing it out or bringing up the question, it's multilingual. So literally, this contextual predictive capability can operate in 3 languages simultaneously. And the way that works is, you can be typing along, when you type, let's say, English, Spanish, French. Maybe that's a common scenario. You type an English word, and then once you select a Spanish word, then that becomes, if you will, sort of the active language, and then as you move from that into a different language, it automatically switches for you. So, great question. Others? Okay, we'll move on. So a couple other things I wanted to show you about the device. We've covered kind of a lot of ground, and then we'll go back to kind of the slide content. I wanted to introduce you to this concept of balance, because we'll talk a lot about this in the next section, if you will, of the presentation. So balance is all about seamlessly segregating work from personal data and applications. So even in the applications that I have open right now, you'll see I have a mixture of work and personal applications open. So for example, this application right here is my company app store, known as Blackberry App World for Work, or Blackberry World for Work, sorry. And all the other, and that exists within the work domain of my device. All of these other applications actually are existing within the personal domain of my device. Now I switch domains, if you will, simply by going to my application grid and pulling down. And you'll notice I have a simple way to move from work to personal. So in this case, I'm in the personal side of the device. I can have work applications open, if you will, but that data is physically separated in a different file system, literally. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. And by the way, this is just an overview. Kevin Davis, one of our technical account managers, is going to lead a session at 3 that's going to go a lot deeper in terms of balance, how it works, how it interacts with VDS. But suffice it to say, there are 2 separate file systems on the device. One contains work data and applications. One contains personal. And applications within that personal domain cannot access data that's in the work domain. Yes, Harry?
Yeah, I'll ask the question this afternoon then, but I'll ask it twice and you can answer it twice.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Sure.
Is that fair?
Fair enough, yeah.
Is it the same UI, or is it like a playful UI for life and then a serious UI for business? Or is it the same experience?
So that's one of the, and thank you for asking the question, because so this is what separates Balance from, let's say, a traditional containerization solution on other mobile devices. It's the same UI. It's the same experience. So notice when I go into my email, as an example, right? Remember, this is a mixture. I'm viewing work and personal content here. I don't have a separate email viewer for work and personal. I have the same. But when I implement this balance feature, we'll illustrate it this way. When I implement balance, so I just turned my balance feature on. All of my work data just went away. I only see personal data right now. So what happened when I hit that button was it locked that work partition, that work perimeter, if you will, where all of that work data is located. So now I can't access anything that's in that partition. For example, and I'll give you an example here. If you go back, remember we had some calendar items in here earlier. I can see that I have calendar items, but I cannot see the data until I go back and unlock that work perimeter. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, that's a great feature. This is really what, if you were to ask most enterprise decision makers how they want BYOD to work, this is what they want. They want separation of work and personal data, but they want it to be seamless and transparent to the end user. So if I could bring up another mobile device here and show you how the same concepts are implemented, what you would see is it is possible to separate work and personal data, but you can't do it seamlessly like this. So the end user uses a common UI layer to access both sets of data. Yes, sir. Oh, microphone, please.
Yeah, we have an online question.
Go ahead.
And the question is, can you lock it the other way? So you lock out the personal and you only see the work.
Not presently, but there is an overall device lock capability. So if you're concerned about security in that personal perimeter, with our BES 10 solution, you can set a policy to lock the entire device.
Yeah, because I would imagine the idea is that if you're working, you don't want to be distracted with personal stuff.
Yep, so that's an interesting concept. That is not something that's currently implemented in Balance. However, we should probably talk about this. What we do have, or I should say in the very near term will have, is a regulated capability. We kind of look at this, and I'll kind of go over this in a little bit later in more detail, but we kind of look at this as a tiered service offering. So the corporate tier, if you will, implements Balance, and then there's a regulated tier offer that will effectively lock an entire device. You could, maybe to put it more simplistically, it simply does away with Balance, so that you simply have a single perimeter, that's a work perimeter, and it locks that device down to only what a BES administrator would want to have on that device. So, I don't know that I see that use case fitting most small businesses, although, I'm sure there are the exceptions to every rule. So, obviously that plays deeply in kind of the regulated industry space. Great question. Sir, you had a question?
I read an article recently about how if there's litigation against a company, that one of the employees' phones can be taken for use of discovery and stuff like that, and you lose your phone for a couple of months Maybe this would solve that problem.
This is, so the separation of work and personal is designed exactly to separate that issue. Basically, data that exists in the personal side of the device, so, and when I say that, so on the personal side of the device is Facebook, Twitter, all your social feeds, social applications, games, your personal browser. There's also a work browser, but in the personal side, all of that data from and this, I'm not an attorney, so I can't speak authoritatively on this, but as a general rule, things that reside in the personal side of that device would be considered, from a legal perspective, non-discoverable. So, okay. All right. Let's move back to the presentation. So I think you guys get the concept of balance. Kevin's going to go deeper into it. So let me just, yes, go ahead. Microphone?
So how many emails you can configure on the hub? The limitations? I have configured Yahoo, I've configured Gmail, I've configured
Yeah, you can
3-4
configure. I'm sure there's an absolute limit. I'm not that. So I don't know exactly what it is. What is it, Kevin? Sorry. Oh, 10. Okay. So at least 10. So and you can have. So ultimately, you can have at least 10 profiles on that.
including work, including personal.
Yeah, you can actually have multiple active sync profiles as well for work, if you want to.
Okay.
That make sense?
Okay. So everything you have set for 10. So for BlackBerry 10 means everything 10, 10, 10. 10.
No, I don't, not everything's 10, but all right. Any more questions before I move on?
Yeah, he has a very special situation. He has thousands of women that are trying to call him and get a hold of him. And it's true. It's true.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's an interesting use case for sure. All right. So we talked a lot about balance. Just to let you know, BlackBerry 10 is a device platform. It's not a device, if you will. So obviously, we're going to have other form factors. The Q10 has launched actually, in several places around the world. We'll be launching here in North America over the next several weeks, a couple months, if you will, and. Q10 will be available across all 4 major carriers here in the U.S., across hundreds of carriers around the world, as is Z10 today. So that's the Q10, by the way, and we have demos of it here. I happen to have one. The software experience and everything I just talked about and showed you on Q10 is literally the same. It just is a different device form factor. It has the physical keyboard. So, and of course, a differently dimensioned screen. All right. So we talked a lot about balance. I'm not going to belabor the point there. Let's talk a bit about apps and the different things that you can do with this device. So one of the huge strides that BlackBerry has made over the last couple of years is in the area of how we work within the mobile ecosystem, if you will. We have certainly reached out to the application community and now have a very robust set of application capabilities on BlackBerry 10. So we launched BlackBerry 10 literally with about 80,000 applications available. We now have over 120. I believe it's actually more like about 130,000 applications to date. Here's some of the major application partner providers that we have, but there's many others, if you will. There's also an Android runtime capability on the device, so we have an Android player, if you will, and it's very easy for any Android application developer to essentially, porting is not even really the right word. There's basically about 3 clicks that they use to essentially take what they've developed for an Android device and submit it to our App World portal and wrap it, if you will, to run in our Android runtime. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm just curious, and this may be naive, is that some type of virtualization that's occurring, or?
Yeah, you can look at it that way. It's essentially a virtual machine within the device. And I didn't cover the actual hardware characteristics of this device, but just so you know, it's a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor running a multi-threaded microkernel OS. So it's very easy for us to do something like a virtual machine within the device. And yeah, you could think of the Android runtime really as a virtual Android device, running on, on this device.
Okay, because yeah, you're not recompiling the code,
Nope.
so you're
Nope.
you're using emulation. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Sure. And, so it's an exciting capability. Ultimately, what we want app developers to do is develop their applications native for BlackBerry 10. And in fact, if you examine the mix of applications within our App World portal, about 80% actually are native apps, with about 20% being ported apps from Android, if you will. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about how that shakes out for within the application community. We've reached out and have established some very deep relationships within the gaming community, within published media, within sports, and multimedia. And all of these are more, these applications and capabilities exist more within the, let's call it the consumer domain. But then within the business domain, we have some very strong partnerships as well. One of our strongest is Box. And, I'm going to switch back to device demo mode here for just a second, because I think this is so powerful to show you. And that is with Box. So if I go into the file manager within my device, I literally see Box as just another share, if you will, that I can browse from the file manager on my device. So let's see, I'm offline at the moment, so it won't bring it up. But literally, I can interact with my Box account direct from File Manager on my device. That's, to me, that makes it so much simpler to use cloud-based storage. That really is, I think that's really what people really want. They want to make it simple, and it's very simple. So you see some other, core business type functionality. Very heavily partnered with all the folks on this slide, very heavily partnered with Microsoft as well. So this device is fully supported in the Office 365 environment, either as a direct ActiveSync connection or as a proxied connection through our BES 10 or BlackBerry Enterprise Service 10 solution. Coming. So not today, but sorry. Oh, yes.
My question is, does BB10 support Skype? Because I've seen on my set the Skype is not supporting. I don't know whether I'm using the alpha dev from the last 6-7 months, or because of that, or I don't know.
Yep. So with Skype, what we have is, and this is on the banner, if you will, in BlackBerry App World today. It is coming to the platform. So we've announced a partnership with them. It's not supported this day, but it is coming very, very soon. So, yes.
We have, let's get a mic over to him.
Sure, go ahead, please.
In the meantime, we have a question online, and that is Netflix and Hulu.
Netflix and Hulu. So not officially supported today. That said, I've actually personally, it's a capability of the platform to support it. I personally have seen a kind of a side-loaded version of Netflix running on our device. So it's something that we're working towards. We're in discussions, but it's not formally supported today.
Of course, this is for work.
Of course. Yeah, no, those would all exist within the personal domain of the device. Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, we launched Skype with the Q device, 10.1 code would be a week and a half ago. The 10.1 code is coming very shortly to the Z10, and when that happens, you'll have Skype. So it's almost here.
Yep, so it's very near term.
Yeah, and by the way, the upgrade process is very elegant.
Yep.
With BlackBerry, it just kind of does. I'd recommend you have it plugged into the power so you don't go into a sleep mode. In fact, I think I don't know if it requires it, but it certainly suggests it.
So just so you know, the upgrade process, it is very different. It's completely over the air. Basically, you get a notification in your hub to go upgrade. You click it, it goes and downloads your upgrade. And yes, there are several warnings that say, make sure you're attached to a power source. And not to get into the weeds in this, but we have this concept of sort of, everything's kind of an incremental upgrade in the BlackBerry 10 world versus in BBOS, it was more of a kind of a full package upgrades. But even within that, moving to moving to 10.1 is a fairly large upgrade versus moving to maybe a 10.1.1 is a fairly small upgrade. So, all right. So lots of very robust partnerships in the business domain. And let's not forget about unified communications and collaboration, because as you work with businesses, this is the stuff they actually want to do with mobile devices, right? This is the stuff that actually drives business value. You know, connecting to a corporate PBX, making this both my personal cell number as well as having capability to interact with my PBX and make business phone calls, or my link server, if you will. So that's really that's one key aspect that we provide as well. Conferencing, being able to schedule conference calls, easily dial into conference calls, basically integrated within the calendar function of a BlackBerry 10 device is what we call BlackBerry Mobile Conferencing, which is a capability that gives me a one button join now capability. So when I have a scheduled conference call, I hit one button to join it. Dials me directly in, enters all the codes. I have an easy capability to schedule here, so I have a conferencing profile set up. So from my calendar, I create a meeting, I see who's available, I add them to the meeting, I add the conferencing number directly from my calendar, and I send it out, all from my device. Instant messaging and presence, so connection to servers like Link and OCS within the enterprise, that's a capability of our platform, and of course connection to content management solutions like SharePoint as an example. So all of that's part of what we deliver today in the unified communications and collaboration domain. Of course, we have strong partnerships with folks like WebEx as well. WebEx works directly on this device. And by the way, looking to partner with other conferencing providers and solutions as well. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, we have another question from Frank G. And he says, will there be a point where you can have 2 phone numbers per phone for personal and business?
So that's a very interesting question. So that would require essentially a dual SIM phone. And that's not something that's that's on our immediate roadmap that we can talk about today, but that certainly is something that we're considering going forward. It kind of takes this whole separation of work and personal to a whole nother level. But let me just show you something real quick. And I think that this, and we've talked a bit about this ability to connect to our PBX. I just want to show you something on my phone real quick. So I have what we call our Blackberry NBS solution. So it connects this BlackBerry device to our PBX in the back end. So for example, I can easily set my profile here so that this device could, when I make a phone call, it can either route that as a mobile call. So if you see that 817 number, that's how I'm currently defaulted, right? So that's my mobile number. Or I can easily route that call as a work call over Wi-Fi or over a cellular transport, all from the native interface of this phone. So this isn't a separate client I have to kick off and go make a phone call through. This literally is our NVS, it's our NVS solution natively tied to the phone.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. It seems like a natural progression.
Yeah.
Well, I can add to that, Jay. I actually work for the CIA, and we've already done this with the 10. We do have a dual SIM version at the CIA.
Oh, there you go.
For overseas.
Very good. Excellent. So, all right, let's talk about a couple more business apps, and then we'll talk a bit about this BES 10 server. So SharePoint is another capability that's coming to our solution, so with a partner called Harmony. We also have some capabilities in communicating over Enterprise Instant Messenger and collaboration in partnership with kind of the core providers that provide that kind of service to an enterprise like Microsoft. Business applications in the CRM domain. So one of the applications I use regularly is Salesforce.com, just over the browser on the device. And let's not forget, a lot of apps run in the browser now. This device is fully HTML5 compliant. If you have an HTML5 app, it runs great. Nothing required to install. Just go hit the link and it'll run, essentially. This is another CRM app that's available for the platform. as well as solutions, information solutions like Bloomberg.
On that CRM app,
Sure.
apologies, I looked away for a
No worries.
second. Is that free or is there a cost for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not immediately familiar with this particular one. I would assume that there's a cost for that or some way that SalesNow monetizes the app, whether that's, maybe the app's free,
absolutely,
but the service
yeah.
is a subscription.
Just curious. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I think the other thing to focus on here, and while we're on the general topic of apps, and I started this with, we've really changed the way that we work with app developers, and that includes our app developers for enterprise solutions. So it's very easy for an organization to engage and develop applications for this device. We have a very robust set of APIs. When you see things like the Box application and how it integrates natively with File Manager and the Hub, that was all done through the APIs that we make available to app developers. So as VARs, as resellers to small businesses, there's a lot of requirements that are out there. There's a lot of capability to leverage our API set really to solve business needs for your customers on BlackBerry 10.
On the dev front, I don't even know how to ask this, but I'll try. So the same app, can it run on the BlackBerry Playbook today as the 10? Do you have that kind of compatibility with the operating system?
So that's a little bit of a tough question to answer right now because we're still evaluating sort of our strategy with how we're moving forward with the Playbook, whether BB10 will come to the Playbook and more importantly when, and how that will look. So Playbook, just so you know, it runs a different OS.
Oh, it does. It's a different OS.
It's
okay.
built on a lot of the same fundamentals, but it is a different OS. It's what we call our Playbook OS, and the current rev is at 2.1. We're examining the capabilities to bring the issue, quite frankly, is one of hardware. So once again, Playbook device is a 1 gigabyte device. This is a 1.5, sorry, it's a 1 gigahertz device with 1 gig of memory. This device is a 1.5 gigahertz with 2 gigs of memory. The complication there is the capabilities of the actual hardware platform. But we don't have a final decision pending, so I don't want to mischaracterize it either way. I'm just saying it's pending at this point. Okay. So another thing to kind of dig into with the BlackBerry 10 device that I think is really important for small businesses is really just the flexibility of connectivity options. So, traditional BlackBerry devices, BBOS devices, required a BES server for connectivity or a BIS plan through a carrier for connectivity. And that was a great way to do business when you had a lot of limitations on mobile networks. But obviously things have progressed. And now we have a range of options for how you connect this device to your enterprise and how you utilize it. You can do direct connection to cloud-based email solutions. So I mentioned earlier, Office 365 supported right out of the box. Yes, sir.
Speaking of Office 365, what about the link aspect of that, and how does that play in here?
Yep, certainly something. Something that we are looking to support later on this year.
How strong is your active sync support 2003, 7, 10?
Come to the 3 o'clock lecture. I'm seeing over here, yes, and come to the 3 o'clock lecture.
Yeah. Yeah, across the board. Now, I will say that, when you talk active sync, there's different levels of policies and different things that are supported on different platforms of exchange. So, yeah.
Mike?
Yep. If you have active sync turned on your platform, you can take.
Guys, a little bit of housekeeping. We started about 10 minutes late. We're going to run 10 minutes late so we can get the full presentation. Yep. So we have just about 11 minutes remaining. So questions are great. Just a little housekeeping, Jay.
Yep.
Yeah, we have one question online from Richard from Grand Rapids. And he wants to know, will Google Voice and Log Me In Ignition. Whoops, something changed here. Some more feeds. Yeah, that's it. Well, it says Ignition. Run as an Android app and in the future as a native BlackBerry app.
Interesting. So I'm not that familiar with the log me in capability. What I'll tell you about Google Voice is I actually have a colleague who uses Google Voice, and guess what? The HTML5 web app runs great on the BlackBerry 10. So it runs directly in the web, and you would not notice the difference between that and an actual native app. So I personally have seen it, observed it working. Log me in, I'm just not that directly familiar with, so we can certainly take that as an action item and get an answer to that question for Richard. So, I'm sorry? Well, but the specific question I think is Log Me In available as an Android app? Are you saying that it is? It is? Okay. Yeah. We have an answer from the audience. The answer is yes. Good. Excellent. With 120,000 apps, it's now hard to really kind of keep all the information as to what's supported when. So, but finishing off on this concept here, or this slide. So ActiveSync obviously is supported, will meet many needs within the small to medium businesses, but lots of organizations need kind of deeper integration and more secure connectivity, and that's really where our BES 10 solution comes in. And that's really sort of what I wanted to talk about for a few minutes here as well, as BlackBerry Enterprise Service 10. So it's a single platform for managing all mobile devices. Of course, it manages BlackBerry 10 devices. It connects to a BES server console so that you can manage BBOS, existing or legacy BlackBerry devices from this single platform. It also has a capability embedded to manage iOS and Android devices as well. So that's something that we're very excited about. We see huge opportunity in the enterprise mobility management space for BlackBerry Enterprise Service 10. And just to give you kind of a flavor for what the experience is like, this would be your console. So this is the console that would manage all of an organization's mobile devices. See, it's a simple tab navigation paradigm. You simply go to the tab for the device that you want to manage. A couple other things that are important for you guys as well as customers to know as we make this transition to BlackBerry Enterprise Service 10. All of the CALs, or client access licenses, that organizations have purchased to manage BlackBerry devices today, they transition at no cost through the end of this year to this BES 10 platform. So from now until the end of the year, there's literally no cost for a customer to trade in their existing BlackBerry CALs and have the licensing they require on our BlackBerry Enterprise Service 10 platform to begin deploying BlackBerry 10 devices, as well as they can certainly look at extending that to manage iOS and Android devices as well. As well as another big change is the fact that we don't charge for the server software or SRP connection, as it's often called, as well. So server software is now free in BES 10. And CAL licensing is available at no cost for trade-up of BES 5 CALs. So just a couple other things to mention. Of course, we have a full technical support services program that stands behind all of our solutions. So it's a 3-tiered service with basic, advantage, and premium, with varying levels of service capabilities available. So certainly that's important to organizations that rely on BlackBerry as the capabilities we have to support their platform. And these are available to the reseller community. Essentially, you resell those subscriptions as well. So I'm going to end probably on this slide, and then we can wrap up with a few more questions if we have a few more minutes. So I just thought I'd maybe summarize kind of everything, my thoughts anyway, about everything that I just said. So obviously BlackBerry, we're in a whole new era right now, and it's an exciting time, frankly, to be at BlackBerry. So we see a ton of opportunity for resellers. Obviously we're bringing a whole new platform to market. new platforms equal new revenue opportunity. So I've kind of listed out just a few new revenue opportunities that I would see if I were a reseller. You guys can probably be more creative than I can and think of more, but certainly there's opportunities here to assist your customers in upgrading existing BES environments to BES 10. You can assist customers with migrating applications that they may be running on BlackBerry OS devices today to the BlackBerry 10 platform, as well as maybe applications that run on other platforms that they want to bring to BlackBerry 10 as well. In addition to that, you can get engaged and help your customers implement a truly cross-platform enterprise mobility management solution. And to me, when I kind of look at the value there, to you guys, it's really all about tackling what are really the toughest problems that your customers are dealing with today. And that is really how to embrace mobile computing, how to embrace BYOD and consumerization. And really, you can begin to assist your customers to extend their platform. We talked a bit about unified communications. That's a huge opportunity in terms of, how do you mobilize platforms like Link, PBX solutions, like SharePoint, as an example. And ultimately, maybe the most important bullet point that I could leave you with there is the one at the bottom. And that really is, ultimately you're trying to become the trusted advisor to your customers. And to do that, you really need a trusted platform. So I'll begin with where we started. BlackBerry is kind of the provider that really is trusted in the enterprise, installed in over 90% of the Fortune 500s, the gold standard in terms of providing a secure mobile experience for end users. So with that, maybe we have a couple more minutes. I'll take any questions we have.
A couple more questions. While people are coming up with their questions, I want to give you your speaker plaque, sir. Great job.
Thank you
We
so
enjoyed
much.
your
I appreciate it.
presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank you guys very much. Yes, sir.
yeah, let me get the mic down. Hold on. Here, if we could pass that back.
Can you talk a little bit to the BES deployment, the upgrade? Am I correct that I need a second server? I have a BES 5.
Yeah, so that all depends on the scale and size and scale of your organization. And Kevin will probably cover a little bit more of this in his session. But for smaller organizations, let's say under 500 users or under, you can install BES 10 over top of an existing BES server.
Yeah, so that's really the answer. The answer is that for a smaller organization, yes, BES 10.1 can install on top of a BES 5 server. Yeah, 10.1 is coming out this month. So just two things I want to say. BlackBerry Live is going on in a couple of weeks. There's going to be a lot of exciting announcements during that time frame. And also, I have a session at 3 o'clock to go over building mobility practices, talking about how the BES works and all that kind of stuff. And I'll also be giving a live demo of the BlackBerry Enterprise Server software as well.
Excellent.
You took away my two announcements, darn it. It was BlackBerry Live, and I think it's in Orlando. Again, yeah, Orlando. That's absolutely right. Chris Bangs from our company will be attending, and then at 3 p.m. today, the How to Build a Mobility Practice, but it's a technical conversation. Got time for one or two more questions from the audience. Jay, do we have any from the online community?
Yes, we do. Two people, Droop and Daniel, have the same thing. Something was said a little bit earlier they wanted to get clarification on, and that is, this is the first time I have heard that the BB10 may not be brought to the playbook. In fact, they promised it, and at some point, is this a change of position?
Well, I want to reemphasize what I said, just so that it's not misunderstood. There has not been a final decision about bringing BlackBerry 10 to the playbook. I'm just simply spelling out what some of the factors and considerations are. BlackBerry 10 is designed to run on the type of hardware that we've put in the handhelds. And that is, the 2 gigabytes of memory and the 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor. So that's not the hardware build for a playbook. So there's not been a final decision, so please don't take it that way. But there are some considerations, and we will be making an announcement about that and about if we do bring it, timing for it at a later date. So let me just leave it there so that we're all clear on where that stands.
Thank you. And while we're seeing if there's any last questions, I just want to do a little housekeeping that we have the Marketplace Expo Hall opening right after this presentation with your lunch, and it's very important to visit the sponsors and complete your passport. So complete your passport and have a little chit chat with the sponsors, and then we'll draw for the prizes about mid-afternoon. Jay, I'm not seeing any in-person questions, so Jay, we got one more over there. Jay, do you have another online, and then we'll...
From India.
So I have a couple of questions. One is related to BlackBerry Balance. There's a scenario like on App World, I mean the BlackBerry world, we can download some applications. So there are applications related to Office, some application related to personal. So can I have two BlackBerry world on one for personal, one for
Yes.
work?
As a matter of fact, just as an illustration of that, let me put this in the background. So I actually have here, it's locked, but if I unlocked it, you'd see my application catalog for work, right? And
Oh, come on, type in your password.
okay, well, hold on.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, come by the booth, we'll show you, exactly. But the answer to your question is yes. There's a BlackBerry world that exists on your personal domain, and that is the public app world, or public BlackBerry world, if you will. And then there's a BlackBerry world for work. That is an application catalog that's specific to your work domain that's administered by the BES administrator.